how to install CruzArmor protection on the base of your fuel tank. After cleaning the bike, you want to make sure your hands are clean, the tank is clean. Using the soap slip mixture, you want to make sure everything's good and spray it off. The film as well, when you peel it off, you want to make sure that your hands are wet. The film is wet on both sides, soapy. You never want to touch it dry with dry fingers. The second you pull this off of the backing liner, the adhesive bottom side will be staticky and want to collect dust. So that's why you want to make sure everything's good and wet. Once it's wet, everything will just wash off. Now you just make sure the piece just sets exactly where you want it. This is obviously at the base. You don't want it too far down where it's hanging down into your motor. You don't want it too high where you're leaving a lot of vulnerable area. So again, soapy, that's what keeps this thing sliding around on kind of a sheet of soapy water. So you find out exactly where you want this thing. There's a relief cut in here that you'll see. So you can kind of guide where that's going to go down here. And once you get it in position, make sure to keep the top wet and soapy so that your squeegee slides easily. And when it's up against the edge perfectly, you just go ahead and squeegee it out the soapy water. And I'm using light to moderate pressure. You can see it's barely bending, but if it's sliding as you squeegee and you can't keep it in place, then you have too much soap in your slip mixture. Because even right now, as you can see, I lightly pressed it, but it's tacking a little. I could move it if I really pulled it. Again, you just want it exactly up against that line there. And start squeegeeing out all the soapy water from beneath. And you want to use overlapping strokes so that you're not leaving anything under the film. Now when you get to places like this is really the only spot on here where you might use an alcohol mixture. You can get away with it only using the soap mixture, but a lot of times it won't. It's just more difficult to get these to stay. Once you pull them down and tack them, they might want to come back up. So that's where the alcohol spray, you can spray it in places like this, down at the bottom, so that when we pull this to get the little fingers out, what they're called, the alcohol will make it tack instantly. Whereas with soapy water, that would have released and came back. So now we're just gonna go ahead and do the same thing with this piece. I'm gonna make sure there's a little soap under there, so it has a good buffer of soap to slide around on and get the dust out or anything that's underneath there. And again, we're gonna use a little alcohol down here just to pull that down to get these little fingers out. One more little shot there. And so I'm stretching it, as you can see, just pulling it down that direction. As you can see, the alcohol tacks it immediately. So now we just have this final little piece here. Kind of same thing, a little alcohol. I'm gonna do that so that it doesn't come back. A little soap on top so that it slides easily. And then just keeping it tight down here, I'm gonna go ahead and just squeegee those things out. Even grabbing the tip if you want, and a little alcohol there, and just pull it tight. As you can see, these little fingers and things all kind of lay down. And then just, again, overlapping strokes out to that point where with the alcohol it's stuck. Again, just pulling everything out to that edge so that you leave nothing underneath. And then down here, this is final little bit, and I'm gonna go ahead and just hit a little more alcohol under there. Just so that that will stay down the moment I lay it down. If you get any little fingers, what we call these are fingers that lift, that's fine, just a little soap. Or I mean a little alcohol right there, a little anchor alcohol. And those lay right down. And finally you want to take a dry, clean towel. Wiping away, you don't want to wipe up against it because you could curl it or move it. So kind of wipe all those edges. Got a little air pocket there. This stuff's very forgiving. If you find that you've got a piece of dust or hair or something, make sure it's really wet. You know, spray your fingers, then start to lift. Spray it, wipe out the little piece of dust or whatever it might be, and then lay it back down. But at this point, like I said, it's really forgiving. After it's cured up, it won't be as easy to do that with. But that is protected. If you want to set it out in the sun, okay, if you ever get any little fingers, those fingers lifting, spray them with a little alcohol. Use your towel to press them down, press away, and press out any liquid and air. If you are going to use a heat gun to warm just the edges, you want to make sure and keep it far enough away. You don't want to be direct on it where you might melt the material.